I need to know.
One, two people who haven't been here, just two, three people who haven't been here, I think. And so this was set up in my dreaming up what I was gonna do thing as a review. And then as I got closer to this review, I started hearing this little voice going, "You didn't talk about me." And that's the gastrointestinal digestive system. So this is not gonna be a review. It's gonna be a review and not. The first part, we're gonna go through the digestive system, specifically the gastrointestinal tract. The digestive system is way more pervasive, digestion. But the tract is the plumbing that starts here, ends down there. So that's what we're gonna do. So these are our favorite people. There was the muscle system, bones, nervous system, and the circulatory. So I'm gonna go back through all those, not complete, but try to take out some of the important points. As always, and for the new folks too, anytime a question, just stop me and ask a question. See if this will work. Again, digestive system, gastrointestinal tract. I'm a biomechanic, biological mechanic, a bioplumber, a bioelectrician, and that makes everything that I do. So here's the tract, and I've got a few pictures that are gonna kind of show this. Of course, starting at the mouth, coming all the way out at the bottom end. A lot of organs involved in that, but what we're gonna pay the most attention to is the tube that is the esophagus, the stomach, and then we go to the small intestines and the large intestine, and then we're out of town. So each place has its mechanism. So again, this is the digestive tract. It's a tube, but they're different tubes. The esophagus is the first long tube, but don't forget the mouth and the teeth. It is very typical that we just and eat quick, couple chews and a bite. And you think, well, why would I want to do that? One is that the stomach, and when you get down here to the stomach, it is a muscular bag that squeezes and crunches and squeezes and crunches and starts to break down food particles that will later be broken down more, will later be broken down even more, and then the body will absorb those. The gastrointestinal tract, starting with an open mouth and an opening on the other end, is not literally in your body. That is outside your body. It's like if I held a tube that started out here, a hose outside the door, put the hose all the way through here and took it in here. You'd say, well, everything in the hose, that water is in this room. And I say, no, it's not in this room, it's outside. What becomes really, really important is you don't have any pinholes in that hose. Because I want the hose to go and maybe unclose a sink in the other room. I don't want any pinholes because the water's gonna leak out here, this being the body. We want that whole tract to be completely protected as a tube. And you could imagine, well, sure, of course, but why? One of the biggest reasons is that if you have insufficient walls in the tube, particles that should be going through to be digested to get to the body go into the outsides of the body. When they lodge in places in your body and did not go through the digestive process, the body, the miraculous immune system, looks at those particles and says, not self, not self, not self. If I'm a white blood cell, an immune system mechanism, and I see not self, I want to kill it. I want to attack it. I want it to be gone. If that not self particles were to lodge into your joints, autoimmune, rheumatoid arthritis, your body itself, your protective mechanism sees that it's not self, it attacks us. If it were logged into the tissues, the external tissues, that might be psoriatic arthritis, autoimmune. We really need a tight digestive system. We don't want to do things that destroy that. Antibiotics, steroids, many other things. So when we're coming down,
Can I ask a question? Only because I happen to be one of those people that eat really, really fast. And
start chewing more.
Okay.
Oh, and then back to the mouth, yes.
The lines that?
Why is that? Let me answer that,
Why
because
chew so much?
she lives with someone who chews really fast and eats really fast and doesn't chew up everything. Let me ask that. Then I'm gonna get to it. You can eat proteins, you can eat carbohydrates, you can eat bread. Each one of those is going to go through a different mechanism. That muscular stomach also contains acid. That acid helps break down the particles, so when it gets to the intestines, it can be reabsorbed.
So you're
If you
saying-
get carbohydrates down here, because you didn't chew it up here, the acid is going to kill the enzymes that break down those carbohydrates and breads. The saliva contains the enzymes that will start to break down breads and carbohydrates. You have to give your body enough time to get the saliva to start the breakdown process right here before you get to that.
My son used to eat so fast that sometimes I would take like a little clock
Yeah, except you,
timer, and I would tell him that he had to take a certain
Yeah.
amount of time to
Yeah.
eat because he would eat so fast.
yeah, it's really important, especially for things like breads and carbohydrates, that we get saliva. If right now we don't really have smelling much, but if the restaurant next door was starting to cook up something that was really nice, that we would already have a neurological mechanism that tells us to start salivating. The saliva is that important. The chewing is that important. So important that 2 people in this room over 45 years have actually put little signs in front of them that said breathe or chew, and failed and failed and failed. So we do the best we can. Seriously. And it's terrible. Esophagus again. Now this gives you a little bit bigger of the system. The esophagus will go into the stomach, and I'll show you a picture of that. So I'm pointing right now to the picture of where the stomach is, and I'm going to toss in some identifications because we have one gentleman here who's not seeing. All this twisty junk in here is the small intestines. This big one is the large intestine called the cecum. Each one of those places, well, like everything else in the body, each one of the places has a job to do. One portion of that will absorb certain nutrients, another certain nutrients, another certain nutrients. Here's the stomach, and I like this picture because in a second we're going to review the musculoskeletal system, and then and there is where I describe the different sorts of muscles in the body. You see these lines like this? This is kind of how the cells of those muscles are lined up so that it can twist and churn and twist and churn, twist and churn. 2 of the important places that we get to in a second. One right here, right at the top of the stomach, where the esophagus, which came from the mouth, is going to connect into the stomach, and this end of the stomach called the pyloric canal, that's where the food's going to come out. So hold on to those 2. Who's heard of hiatal hernia? Yeah. If you were to look, here's my ribs right here. If I take a big breath, my chest expands this way. And one of the mechanisms to make the chest expansion is this diaphragm muscle, which is a big dome. I just pushed the diaphragm down, it increased the space of my chest, it sucked in air. The diaphragm movement is really important. Here's a normal stomach, here's the esophagus, here is the lower esophageal sphincter. A sphincter is muscles that twist and tighten, twist and tighten, twist and tighten. Just like a faucet, twist it and it tightens. That should be right under the diaphragm, like this. Like here's the stomach, here's the esophagus. I'd like it to be this way. I'd like the stomach to be below the dome or the broad sheath of my diaphragm. Here's the hiatal hernia. Now, the sphincter, which is supposed to be tightening up and keeping acid from going to your esophagus and literally burning your esophagus. I'm sure sometimes you've eaten too much or drank or whatever. You go to bed that night, yeah, burning. It's because you're getting some acid come back up, which is really where you do not want it. So hiatal hernia is when that has squeezed up that diaphragm a little bit. classically, you go, let's take some antacids. I have too much acid in my stomach. I don't want that, so let's take an antacid. You'd want to say, the acid's there for a good reason. We don't want to neutralize it any more than we really have to. There are manual techniques, and you can do this sometime if you ever want to do it. Take a hand, left hand, right hand. Feel the lower ribs on your left side. Go ahead and just feel where your lower ribs are. You can push right under there, you're not going to hurt anything. Right under there. Right here is your stomach, way over there. If I could, and here's the shirt, right? So imagine this now is the esophagus, and I've just pulled up that sphincter, and I'm getting acid. What if I could go here and just push it back down? Seems pretty simple. I did that hundreds of times, more than that in my practice. What you can do yourself, this is not for a major hiatal hernia, you need to see someone. But you know, if you're getting some burning, you can, sitting in a chair, I'm just going to take my hands and go right under the ribs on the left-hand side, push them in. I'm locking down the stomach. Take a big breath and lean back. So basically what you're trying to do, you've locked in here, you're trying to pull the stomach down and pull that hiatal hernia, which should be in a very, very small presentation and not a big, serious one. Pull it back down. Give it a try sometimes if you think, yeah, I got an acid burn. Why not? Other end, the pylorus or the pylorus sphincter is what lets the food out of the stomach after it's been partly digested here, after it's been churned up in the stomach, after it's been dissolved with acid. Now it starts to come out here. The way the food comes out the pylorus is it should come out in little pulses like that, not huge amounts of it, and it should not be blocked here. So this is just a place that's very important. This is not a manual thing to deal with. This is a medical thing.
I know a few people who have had, what they call it, lap band surgery for people that are obese and are trying to lose weight. It's some kind of a surgical
I
procedure.
know this much about that. If I don't know something for the new people here, I just say, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know much. I know some surgeries that is in my field, so I can't answer that at all.
But this is a place where you can get an ulcer, right?
You can get an ulcer anywhere you want. You can get an ulcer anywhere in your stomach. Yeah, you can have an ulcer right here. And ulceration is like, if I had, say I had a boil or an injury here and it kind of broke through my skin, that's an ulceration. An ulcer is an ulceration in here. Yeah. Same thing. Now this is showing about where things are. Here's your liver. Here's my ribs on this side. Right under the ribs on the right, right on the right side. Right deep to that is my liver. And it comes across my body this way. Right at the bottom of the liver is the gallbladder. And right below that are the intestines. This picture just happens to show this thing, the greater omentum, which is not really part of the digestive system, but it's pretty neat. It's like a apron that's protecting and covering your intestines. Again, keeping one part of your body separate from another part. But so here, I want to show this because we're looking at the liver and the gallbladder. The liver creates bile. If you've ever had any bile, it's like, the liver creates bile. It stores it in the gallbladder, and the gallbladder then squeezes it into your digestive system as you need it. Bile is an emulsifier. An emulsifier is like soap. So if you're at the kitchen sink and you have water in the sink, and then you had some oil, the oil would form little droplets all over the place. If you put a little soap in that and all around, that breaks those little bubbles of oil and breaks them away. That's an emulsifier. That's what bile does. Bile is a substance that in the small intestines, where we go next, that breaks down fats. Fats, we have proteins, we have carbohydrates, all that, but it's for fats. If you have your gallbladder removed, it is not the end of the world, but you don't have a regulating mechanism anymore. The liver is still producing bile. You have to become your own regulator. which means you stop eating fatty foods, just like that.
No cheese, no.
The bile goes out what's called a duct. If we go to the air conditioning or heating here, that's ducting. A duct is just like a tube. And it'll come down this thing called the common hepatic duct. Hep is the liver. So this is where liver's putting things in here. This is when the gallbladder's putting things in here, and it goes through the common bile duct, and it goes to the beginning of your small intestines.
Why do you think, people have to have their gallbladders removed for what is it doing? How did it?
We start young and perfectly built, I hope. Things change, we become less efficient. Everything in the body has its own purpose. It's programmed at the location of the cell with the DNA, it's programmed to do what it does. I'm a cell, perhaps I'm a gallbladder cell, right? The body of the gallbladder. I'm elastic and flexible. I have a good blood flow. I stretch, I pump, I do what the nervous system tells me. The nervous system's wiring, telling me what to do. Getting a little older, maybe. I'm getting a little less flexible. Maybe I have lived with diets that are really not great diets. I've been asked to do way much more than I should have. Why do some old cars really go good and some are junk? This picture is showing the pancreas. That's a cool organ. It is deeper, right up in here, deep up in here. The pancreas is really important. It does a lot of things. It introduces and releases enzymes and hormones. An enzyme is call it a molecular substance that creates reactions. Certain enzymes will dissolve things, certain will eat them up, certain things will make them move. Pancreas does that. The biggies, insulin and glucagon, and that is the biggies. Diabetes is, it's been a long time since I've read this. I think obesity and diabetes, I think Alzheimer's, or the bubble that's dementia, those are the big economy breakers, world economy breakers in the years to come.
Aren't they calling it type 3 diabetes now?
Yeah, there's different types of diabetes. The primary ones.
Oh, really? Really? I mean the brain. I haven't heard.
Diabetes could be the link between the gut and this is way bigger than we've ever known.
Oh, yeah.
Type 1 diabetes, you pretty much were born with that. Type 1 diabetes doesn't produce the insulin. Why do I need insulin? If you were to take a blood sample from me right now, it would tell how much sugar I have in that blood. If it's too much, the body's miraculous monitoring mechanism goes, hey, pancreas, give me some insulin, reduce my blood sugar. If I'm gonna reduce the blood sugar, where are you gonna put it? You put it in the cells. And then you go, wow, my blood sugar's getting a little low. Maybe I need a donut again. I need some more blood sugar. I guess I should go with glucagon. I prefer the donut. Then it will release glucagon, and glucagon will take the sugar from your cells into the blood. Out of the blood, into the blood, all the time. Type 1, you're not making it. Type 2, you're making it, it's not doing its job. Type 2, we're getting to ages, and then because of our our weight, our diet, our world, I don't know, there's more and more type 2. If you suddenly find yourself diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, it's not the end of the world. You have to significantly change the structure of your life. Or die, whatever, your choice. And so why not? That's not that huge of a deal. If you're in type 1, you're taking insulin all the time. Both of these are interesting in that they're hormones. Hormones are going through the blood extraordinarily fast through the blood. Now here, I'm a cell of one sort. In this case, I'm a digestive tube cell. I'm a cell, and I have this little triangle here. We'll call that a receptor. And now, through the blood, here comes a hormone. It comes through here. I want to go to that cell. Boing, I don't fit that receptor. It keeps going. The shape of the receptors on the cells, we have receptors for glucagon and for insulin. So if the body's asking me for more blood sugar or less blood sugar, an insulin or glucagon cell will float through and hormone and plug right into that receptor. If you've got the receptor, then the receptor gets filled. When my receptor gets filled, I do what I'm supposed to be doing. In this case, release blood sugar or take in blood sugar. This group, I don't ever want to think I'm that clear that you guys don't need to ask questions. I don't ever want to think that. She always says, use words.
Now.
What's wrong with
It's
him?
now.
You know I wanted you to move that bottle, right? Sorry, I'm a little clear here. Now, let's go back here to the small intestine. Let's go back. Where is this? And some of these, it's kind of moderately meaningless to know, but it's kind of cool. Here I go. So when we're getting to the small intestine, which I think is about 30 feet long or something, I've read that. It's all twisted up in here. It absorbs, with the enzymes, absorbs nutrition that you're getting into your body, in the body. It takes it from the colon to the intestine into your body. We have to give everything a name. The duodenum is long intestine. Part of it's called the duodenum, jejunum, and the ileum. And the ileum one's important because it's just the name of what's going to come up next. So we had to give it that kind of name. Each one of those segments absorbs different nutrition. I mean, it's pretty awesome. The large intestine, or the cecum, has to be called the ascending, transverse, descending, and sigmoid colon. So again, each has its own job. So, right down here, small intestine, got 30 feet, right? Twist, 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 twist. Right, here's my, the bone, right above pelvis here. If I were to take my hand and push right in over the bone, I'm at the cecum. The cecum is the place that the appendix hangs off of. There's a valve, again, to keep things from going and not going, an ileocecal valve. Everything in medicine, everything in anatomy, they take two words and they stick them together. From the ileum to the cecum, we call it the ileocecal. The lower esophageal, such and such. So this is, we're going to the large intestine now, the ascending colon, cecum, little pouch, dead end, with a little appendix, dead end. Anybody have an appendectomy? Me too. What's it for? That's the big question. Nobody actually knows. Some people think it's a remnant, some people think this and that. Most likely it is a part of the immune system, the complex immune system. White blood cells are part of the immune system. Tons of things in the immune system. There are anti-bad guy mechanisms in the cecum. So it's highly likely that that's what the thing's there for. Most people will go a whole life and that appendix will not get too clogged up and therefore infection, appendicitis, and need to be cut out. If it happens, it's nothing. It's probably expensive, but it's not that big of a deal. Some people, I think it was Jane Goodall, wasn't it her? Well, there's two women who were the main researchers. Jane Goodall, I think, had her appendix removed before going to Africa just in case. That's kind of a reach, but whatever. Good on you. Okay, so here we go. A sigmoid, a cecum appendix right here. Ascending, we have a lot of identifying words. Ascending, transverse, descending, medial, lateral, superior, inferior, dorsal, plantar. All of those let you know, if you're ever reading any report from your doctor, where they're talking about. All the way out, right over here, like a little S, a sigmoid, colon here, and then on out. If you find yourself constipated, or you've had a big meal, again, very gently, you can go over to this left side. There's the bone of my pelvis. I can feel the bone right there. Gently pushing in, just very gently. So here's the middle, just gently pushing in. You can actually go, I got kind of a lump in there, and it's poop. Okay? So if you've been constipated, that's about where you'll feel that. I would never go in here, let anybody come in here really hard and really do a deep massage in the stomach, or in the gut. Very gentle. You can just very flat hand, no pokey. You can just very gentle go in that and just kind of help things move. Things go right side, up, under, kind of so deep under here, and then down. So you know that your little flow, like, God, I'm having trouble. You know, little gentleness, little gentleness, little gentleness, a flat hand, little gentleness, little gentleness. Don't be poking around. So there's and the digestive system. I wasn't going to have it in the program. It's a lot more than that, but that's what you got. That's the digestive. Gastro means stomach. Gastrointestinal tract. It's a long tube. It wants to be out of your body. It is believed by many that I really respect in the medical world that permeable tube leaking out products that should be completely dissolved by enzymes before they're reabsorbed. Reabsorption is different than leaking, is a huge factor in autoimmune disease. Because again, anything that you put in the body that's not you, the immune cells, the white blood cells and other immune products will see it and they will attack it. And that's a tough thing. That's a really tough thing when you have an autoimmune disease. It's really a tough
So that's what they mean by leaky gut, you know? people
Yeah,
say
leaky gut. Yeah, it should not be
something
leaking in there. It's like that hose. It wants to go there, and now we get the carpet all back here. We go, get this out here, get the vacuum. I'm a white blood cell. I didn't include it. I should have included it. I didn't include this one picture for those of you who weren't here that showed when we did the circulatory system. It showed, it's creepy, white blood cells attacking an intestinal worm. I mean, a microscopic thing, literally a creepy looking worm in there, and the white blood cells are going at it. So thank God we've got white blood cells. They attack stuff we don't want to have. I want them to attack the worm. I don't want them to attack me or my joints. So, started the whole program on how, so this is a review now. Any questions before we zip through the program? I've got an hour, this is gonna be fine.
Yeah, that's 10:30.
Do I have time?
Yes, you do.
10, 11. I'm gonna zip through it, and stop me. Really. How to build a body. I don't care about a body, I wanna build a house. I need some bricks, I need some boards, I need some cement, I need cells. I want to build a body, I need cells. I want to build a biological entity, I need cells. I want to build a tree, I need tree cells. So we're going to start from the cell to the body. We have cells that make tissues. A tissue might be like this whole cotton or whatever this is made of. This might be a tissue. Tissues that make organs. A bone is an organ, a heart is an organ, my brain is an organ of a sort. So we need cells. And this is just a generic picture of the thickness of your skin. Outside is the epidermis. You're seeing my epidermis there. And this is just a picture, shows you all these little things. Those are skin cells. I take a lot of skin cells, add some different sorts of skin cells, and I have a piece of skin. So basically cells build everything. They are the foundation. Every cell in your body, except red blood cells, has a nucleus. And a nucleus is the place that carries all the information on what that cell's supposed to do. There's your DNA in the nucleus. Here's muscle cells. We have 3 kinds of muscles in the body. We just looked at the stomach. That's contractile. My huge biceps. I want to lift this. I've taken a bicep muscle, attached it at the upper part of my arm and attached it to this bone right here. I'm going to contract it, shorten the muscle fibers, and that's going to move. That's contractile fiber. That's skeletal muscles. I have a heart. That's cardiac muscle. We are that specific. Completely different kind of muscle that's designed to pump about 1 zillion times in a lifetime. Unbelievably. And we have smooth muscle. That tube that we just went through, the digestive system, that's smooth muscle. It doesn't just go, oh, uh-oh, how do I get out of here? It does it with a process called peristalsis. The smooth muscle squeezes, like if I took the hose, squeeze it up, squeeze it, squeeze it, squeeze it, that's pushing things through the digestive system. So that smooth muscle, this shows you a piece of contractile muscle fiber. This muscle here, the biceps, now take it out, it's kind of like a tube. Now take muscle fibers in it right through like this. It's kind of like if we took a wire, if we could cut this wire open, we're probably going to see a bunch of little wires going the whole length. That's what a contractile muscle fiber does. It does that by having different sections. A section is kind of little stripy things. A section, and they just shorten or elongate, shorten or elongate. If you find yourself as you age getting tighter, like I'm going to try to bend down, I'm feeling resistance in the back of my legs, these muscles in my back. I probably didn't feel as much resistance years ago. The muscles were longer and they were more elastic and they were more flexible. And that's why as we age, it is mandatory to do stretching. Or, you've seen this picture right here. This person either had a process that's more serious, or they just didn't ever stretch. Stretch back, push back. They didn't stretch everything. If you don't stretch, you will become this. Muscle fibers, they all have their little pieces that we covered in the program, but fundamentally a skeletal muscle fiber contracts. Short, long, short, long, short, long. When you see bodybuilders, so back in the day, or these days at the Olympics, power weightlifters, you look at these people, they are not sculpted like a bodybuilder. Bodybuilding is completely different. The bodybuilder isn't even a shadow as strong as a power weightlifter. That power weightlifter takes those muscles, builds the strength of them, elongates them, builds the strength, elongates them, elongates them. The bodybuilder wants them to bulk. That's why they're this way. I mean, it's a whole thing. I'm not saying it's good or bad. That bodybuilder is not going to be flexible at all. If you want to keep moving, you have to keep stretching. I cannot believe that I've gone 35 minutes that did not say move it or lose it. Those of you who are here on session 1, I'm saying move it, move everything all the time. Those who haven't been here, move everything all the time. And when we get to bone, I'll tell you what. The nerve cell, kind of. Here's the nucleus of the nerve cell. It has processes. A process is something that comes out. This is an axon, and these guys out here are dendrites. So the nerve is the electrical mechanism of the body. It starts from the brain with nerve cells. They connect to each other at the synapses, and you've heard of synapses if you've ever heard of depression. The serotonin reuptake inhibitors happen at the synapses. That's where those cells connect to each other and connect and connect and connect and connect. That's how all the messages get through the body. So there's the nerve cell. Bone cells are pretty awesome. 4 kinds of cells make up a bone. So here's just a piece of bone. Osteocyte, blast, osteogenic, clast. Osteogenic, genesis is creation. In our bone marrow is created osteogenic cells. Stem cells, a stem cell, like the stem of something, can grow into something. A stem cell can grow into, an osteogenic cell can grow into this kind of cell, this kind of cell, this kind of cell, other cells, blood cells, red blood cells, or white blood cells. They all grow into the type of cells that they were programmed to be. And they're specifically programmed. When we're an embryo, embryonic stem cells can grow into each one of you. All of the cells in your body came from embryonic stem cells. This guy here looks kind of like a nerve cell, kind of. You know, it's got these things. It's monitoring the bone. It's monitoring the bone. And there are not your bones everywhere, all your bones. It's saying, wow, I need a little more density. Ooh, I need a little less density. I need more calcium into my blood. I need less calcium from my blood. if it sends a signal that says, I need more density, it goes to the osteoblast, and that starts to create more bone density, stronger, stronger, stronger. If it says, I need more calcium, where do I get calcium? They're not taking calcium, they're not eating a great diet of calcium. Calcium, there's the bones. And it takes the calcium from your bones. And so you can see that we would like to have a good balance here.
Can I ask a general question about cells? It's my simplistic understanding about cancer, that cancer is just simply the cells that were supposed to do this, they weren't there.
First off, she's never asked a simple question in her life. Cancer cells are not cells from the outside. They're not a bacteria, they're not a virus, they're not a fungus. Something went wrong. If I had an answer, it wouldn't be.
But it is your own cells.
Yeah, it's you and things, and they become different sorts of cells.
like
Cancerous cells that are moving and taking over, destroying. Something went wrong.
Where they're not supposed to be.
Something, no, they're not supposed to be that kind of cell. They're not supposed to be there.
And who sends the message that they're going to the wrong place, or is that something?
Something went wrong.
Oh, okay.
Something went wrong, and I don't know. Nobody has a handle on that. We know how to give radiation therapy, chemotherapy, we know how to do all that. We have research, which I would love it to be more and more and more, which is immune system therapies. We have prolotherapies, and something went wrong. It's beyond fascinating and terrible. A metastatic is the growing, eating, destroying tumor. Another tumor, oma, a tumor is oma, it's always got oma, like lipoma is a fatty tumor. It is a tumor, it's not causing any damage. I have a little, and a lot of you have, this is a little, it's a fatty little tumor, it's a lipoma right there. It's not doing anything, it's always been there. It is not metastatic. You can have moles on your body. If they're not metastatic, they're not growing and spreading. Something went wrong. No clue. If it's a cancer of the bones, that is going to be eating up the neighborhood. If it's a pancreatic cancer, that. If it's a prostate cancer, that. Blood cells, all these cells, the blood cells are all created in your bone marrow. So the bone has a hard shell and a spongy center, yellow marrow and red marrow. That's where all your blood cells come from. Oh, I did something the other day. I'm going to do it again for you folks, for the new people. It's kind of a meditation thing.
Oh, right.
Wait. Okay, I want everybody to just take a breath and close your eyes. It's not going to take long. Close your eyes. I'm going to look at the clock. I'm going to say start and stop. So everyone's set. Everybody's ready. Start, stop. You just created 2 million red blood cells.
What do you mean? Just in
If
that
that's
last
not
time?
bizarre,
Yeah.
what is? Oh, sorry, you killed about 2 million too. So it's the numbers of what happens in the body are incomprehensible to me. Incomprehensible to me. The red blood cells are what we call erythrocytes. They are really important. They carry oxygen throughout your body. When we get to the circulatory run through again, they go to every single cell in your body, giving oxygen to the tissues, and then magically taking carbon dioxide from the tissues and waste products and sending it back around again. It's mind-boggling. They're doing that all the time. The white blood cells, of which there are many, eosinophil, basophil, neutrophils, monocytes, T cells, B cells, every one of those has a target. Here comes some bacteria. Oh, that's not him. You go get the bacteria. Oh, you get the fungus. Yeah, we have virus. Go get that. The white blood cells are blasting out, getting things all the time. That's you'll see the results of that if you see some pus. Is getting rid of the junk in your system.
And what about platelets?
Platelets. She loves
I
platelets.
do love platelets. Well, because when my sister had cancer.
Wait a second. Yeah.
All right.
Okay, so all of these are cells, types of cells. There's no
Nucleus.
nucleus. There's no nucleus in the red blood cells. When we get to the nervous system, you'll see how things don't work the same as they did. That does not have a nucleus. It carries oxygen and carbon dioxide. Platelets are broken fragments, and they fill holes. And in a second, I will show you a picture of them filling holes. If I got cut right now, either I bleed to death, or platelets come in here and block the hole. Here's the tube. The red blood cells are floating through you, zipping around all the time. One's going to your tissues from your heart to every single cell of my body through the arteries and the veins and the venules and the capillaries are carrying oxygen. On the way back, they're carrying carbon dioxide. And then, there goes the carbon dioxide. Here's a picture, a microscopic picture. These disky things would be the red blood cells. Here, these are white blood cells. There's way fewer white blood cells. If next time hopefully you look at them when the doctor orders blood labs, CBC, the complete blood count, it tells you your red blood counts, your white blood count, et cetera, et cetera. If the white blood cell count is very high, something is going on. You know, something that they're fighting. They get created to fight something that, a virus, a bacteria, or whatever else. Here's platelets doing their job. I just got cut. I'm starting to bleed to death. The platelets plug it. And then we form a plug. Hemophilia, it's not working. After heart surgery, they will give you a blood thinner. And I'd rather not have a blood thinner. I'd rather not clog my arteries. You know, so it's a balance. Blood thinner knocks out your platelets. And if you have the smallest fall, oftentimes you bleed a lot, you know, older people like that. Other than that, they don't want your arteries and your veins to clog up, so it's a tough one. But that's what platelets do. Platelets also form this thing. This is the patch, fibrin. It's a scar tissue. The awesome thing about the body is it has so many kinds of tissues. It has muscle tissues, connective tissue. Connective tissue are the tough binding tissues. My ligaments and tendons are connective tissue. If you've ever seen, especially like a pork tenderloin, it's almost like there's a piece of cellophane you got to peel off there. The white stuff, that's connective tissue. Everywhere is completely connected in your body. We start with good, clean tissue. Anytime we've ever been damaged, we have repaired or you'd be dead. And so we start with, this happens to be muscle. This is nice, never injured muscle tissue, or skin tissue, or this tissue, or that tissue. Once we become injured, we've disrupted it, torn it, bruised it, burnt it, whatever. We're healed now. We're left with scar tissue. If you didn't have scar tissue, you'd be dead. If you have scar tissue, that's a bummer. The original tissue in your body fundamentally has some characteristics, and this kind of helps these lines. Fundamentally, the tissue is lined up in the line of stress. This muscle needs to be the most strong this direction, right? It needs to be elastic, stretchy, elastic, like rubber bands, right? These rubber bands. If this is a good rubber band, it went back, good. One day, years from now, this will go. So the elasticity is really important. It's strong. The initial tissue is a strong tissue. And the thing that is weird, original tissue doesn't have the neurological tendency to send a message from the tissue to my brain that tells me, ouch, that hurts. We don't hurt here, we hurt here. It doesn't send that message. Now let's talk about wonderful scar tissue. You didn't die, period. That's the only thing that you could say about that, period. It is not lined up in the lines of stress. It is not elastic. It's not very strong. And on any given Tuesday, Thursday morning, middle of the day, it says, hey, I'm going to send a signal. It says, I hurt. Everything about scar tissue is cheap aftermarket stuff. We have to have it. If you got injured in the bad old days, and you could do it to yourself, if you got injured, oh, okay, let's give you a week of bed rest. You healed and healed and healed. Now you don't get to move. Nowadays, you're getting big stuff on the operating table. They're walking you around the halls that night. You know, you're moving. If you get a knee replacement, they'll put you on one of these constant range of motion machines. You're in bed and it's going and moving it. What's happening is you're trying to, I'm torn, I'm stitched up or healing. Okay, now don't ever move again. It's never going to move again. So with the movement, I'm healing, tearing, healing, tearing, healing, tearing, healing, tearing, healing. It will be as good a tissue as you possibly can have if you keep asking it to move as you're healing. If it's a bone here, let's put a cast on it so you don't move it. I don't want that bone to move when it's all healed. I don't want you to get the cast, take it off, and get out on the field because you have to, you know, you're part of the team. So, you got scar tissue. Musculoskeletal. Muscles move, they contract, squeeze out stuff, squeeze the heart, squeeze the stomach, and skeleton is the thing that holds us up. We have a central and peripheral. So here's central, medial, lateral, central, peripheral. Here's my peripheral stuff. And it's the same in the nervous system. Skull, spinal column, and your ribs. And then the other stuff.
And quick question back to blood. What's hemoglobin?
When she's driving, I said, make me a list of stuff I don't want to forget. Hemoglobin is cool. And but it's cool in a wicked way. I mean, it's wicked. Listen to this and just go. Hemoglobin is the molecule in the red blood cell that carries oxygen to all your cells. First off, take in some oxygen, get it in the blood, give it to everybody. Cool. It then later picks up carbon dioxide and it goes through a process that changes the carbon dioxide into kind of a bicarbonate. So you're finally getting it rid of there. So that's cool, right? That's cool. Hemoglobin loves carbon monoxide, and that's death, by the way, not carbon dioxide. It loves carbon monoxide. I got these 2 bottles. This is poison. This is water. I love you 240 times more than I love oxygen. And you want to go, who came up with that? I mean, really.
Something went wrong.
Hemoglobin loves carbon monoxide 240 times more than it wants to pick up an oxygen molecule. When you're out there and or whoever's working on the lawnmower in the garage and there's carbon monoxide coming up, the hemoglobin's saying, let's get that stuff and die.
Rev it up.
Well, there's that. If that's not weird, I don't know what it is. That's weird. But it's awesome stuff.
So if you have too much hemoglobin, like I was told once,
Mhm.
what does that mean?
The different levels of the labs is not totally my field. Here, at 8,000 feet,
Yeah.
most of us, if you look at your labs, will show, because see, the labs say, this is what your level is, here's normal, are you in that range? And when it's out of range, it'll mark that. Mine shows high hemoglobin and high number of red blood cells. We live at 8,000 feet. That should be the case. If I went and lived for months down at sea level, it should be lower. It's possible that that's what it is. So when you see that out of normal range, you have to then go to the scale that shows, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, 10,000 feet.
And is that why some athletes like to train at high altitude?
Colorado Springs is the Olympic Training Center. Yeah. And I wanted at the end to put pictures of humans and just go, you can do anything. They say that Joe Marathon, ran 26 miles, gave the message to the Greeks or whatever, and died. Now, teenagers are running marathons like nobody's business. And I had a patient, she was 50 years old, and she did a 50-mile through the mountains run for herself. I don't even drive 50 miles through the mountain. And we've got 100-mile runs. There's one out of Leadville. There's a marathon in Tibet. What can't we do? They have a lot of hemoglobin and a lot of red blood cells.
So that's what you could do next.
Spinal column and pelvis. What you feel back here, those are the bones, the back bones. The spinal column is really important because it protects your spinal cord. Your spinal cord is the cord to everything. Everything, everything, everything. And I'll get to that on the nervous system. These little red dillies, this is the nerve pieces coming out at each different level. Starting with my big brain, down the cord. At the C, first cervical, I got a couple nerve roots coming out, then a couple more, couple more, couple more, couple more, couple more, and they go everywhere. It would be really protected if it were just a tough tube, but then we wouldn't be able to move like this. So it is a very complex set of 24 bones here that allow the movement. Let's grab these one. We're looking straight in. You're looking straight in, and you're looking to the side. The big bone here is the front part. This part of the back is what we feel. Between these spaces, those are the discs. And discs are like cushions. Elasticity, elasticity, elasticity is what you want. You sleep with a feather pillow before you go to bed. Puff it up. We're sitting, right now, our gravity is pushing down on all my discs. What old person didn't say, I'm 2 inches shorter than I used to be? You are. Your discs are getting smaller and smaller. And you go, why? Who cares? And what should I have done? What should I have done? Don't move. How about if I expand and stretch the back part of my disc to the front part of my disc, the back part, and I have this regular in my life. I'm pushing on the cushion of this chair. Keep staying flexible. Why is that important? This place right here, this little hole here, 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 it's the holes that come out the side that the nerve roots come out, or lateral foramen. A foramen is a hole. I don't know who came up with that. Lateral means the outside. 2 off each side. When that disc gets smaller, 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 right now, so here's this one, and here's this one. You're a nerve root. You want to come out. That's cool. I'm getting smaller disc, smaller disc, smaller disc. I'm getting a little arthritis. I'm getting a little wear and tear. Now that same electrical wire has to come out that hole. I don't know to say any more.
Is that what stenosis is?
Stenosis is a narrowing of a hole. If you have a narrowing of the lateral foramen, you'll hear that. Typically, the big one you hear is narrowing of the spinal canal. So if we take my spinal canal right now and I chop this off and I just point it right at you, it's a tube like this, and these bones are what's making that tube. Stenosis is getting smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. And I have a great picture for that. Since we're on bones, this happens to be a joint. Every single movable joint of your body is called a synovial joint, and they are all in a capsule. They have fluid in them. It's lubrication and it is nutrition. Cartilage is about 80–85% water. It wants to be hydrated, it wants to be healthy. That happens to see cartilage in that joint, that's the elbow. Cartilage in the knee joints, right here. Cartilage in the fingers. When you see a piece of cartilage, it's white. It's white like the table. Where's the red blood cells? If you had red blood cells, you'd be red. No red blood cells. No nutrition gets pumped through the circulatory system, carrying oxygen and nutrition to cartilage. The one and only way cartilage gets nutrition is by movement. So now I'm going to take one surface of a joint and another surface, that's my hands. These hands are in a fluid bath. The only way that and it moves, I have to move all the time, sliding the cartilage against each other. The only way the cartilage gets its nutrition is I'm sliding the surfaces into each other. Movement, movement, move it or lose it, move everything all the time. Every time you are articulating or moving a joint of any sort, any time, you're lubing your cartilage. Anytime you sit still for an hour and a half, especially as we age, you are going in, it's not this big, it's not an hour and a half. You're going into the degenerative arthritic mechanism. I sure do. Maybe some of you do. When you wake up, you just go, oh, that's not how I felt when I went to bed. After a while, it's a little better because you lubed it. Not moving for 7, 8, 9 hours in bed, you're not giving your cartilage nutrition. When we were young, who cares? As we get older, it's important. Move, and don't just move. Oh, I moved enough today. Move some stuff. You know, before you get out of bed, maybe, I'll fall over if I don't. You know, maybe move that hip. This is a ball and socket. This just does that. Ball and socket does all this. Move that thing. Move lubricate the cartilage of the ball and socket. That is slowing the process that may be the inevitable. I go to the 30, right?
You have now.
You move it or lose it. Yeah, so really, seriously, it's small. It's not big. It's not that big of a deal. It's not hard. Move your toes, move your fingers. You're lubing, and I think that I'm lubing my joints, I'm lubing my cartilage, I'm keeping it alive. The nutrition is in the synovial fluid. You gotta push it in. It's a cool word, it's called imbibition. Cartilage joints, everywhere.
Because the cartilage.
Because
the cartilage gets no blood flow, that's why when you get a broken nose.
You get a broken nose, someone punches you in the nose.
No, he said it
There's-
doesn't heal, it doesn't heal.
Is it how we get it doesn't heal?
It doesn't heal.
The
And your ears, if you.
Well, on that one, I'm gonna throw out I know exactly what you're talking about. I'm gonna throw out an I don't know, because there's different sorts of cartilage. The cartilage I'm talking about specifically is the tough, hard cartilage that is the joint mechanism. I honestly never gave a thought to the ears, so that's my whole answer. I have no idea on that one. Looking at this here, same hand. This is a hand that hasn't been fully articulated. We have 26 bones in that hand. Each one has a joint surface. It's hard to, these are the carpals, it's right up in here. Easy to move these, but you'd like to move these too. This, any movement of that. This is the arthritic condition. Arthritic condition is arthritis, inflammation. It is a burning, inflaming, chewing up mechanism. This is a wrist that's either had a medical condition, could be probably not rheumatoid, or it just hasn't been moved that much in a life, you know. And so you would rather that not happen. The best way to keep it from not happening is put silly movement into your life. Lube your cartilage. This is a picture looking right at not my knee, but into the knee. Here's the top bone, femur. Here's the tibia, which is the big one down here, and here's the little fibula. I have this is an x-ray. We're looking straight through there. I like this space. That's a nice space. This bone here has, it was like that first picture, has nice clean cartilage, has a nice lateral and medial meniscus. The meniscus is a pad. You've heard of torn meniscus. It's a pad on the knees. This is a nice looking knee. If you don't take care of things and don't lubricate it and maybe have an accident, here's your knee. Now you can see that this is not a happy knee. We have space here. This has been imbalanced over the years. The mechanism that is supporting the knee upon movement has not been terribly supported. There has been a process. Maybe there had been an injury way back when, who knows. There's no space here for the cartilage. There's no space for the meniscus. This meniscus has probably been squeezed. The meniscus is kind of like a gooey oyster thing. It's a pad. It's probably been squeezed out. It may be gone. It might have been multiply torn or whatever. You just don't want this stuff to happen to. And it could be any joint in your body. I mean, be that. You know, keep moving, keep it supported, keep the movement moving. And if you ever need a new knee or a new hip, I'd rather not. They work really well. some things I'd rather not have brain surgery, but if I ever need a new knee, I'm not gonna like it, but I'll come back and I will make it through it. You know, they do knees and hips really, really well. My muscles are moving things. This muscle moving this hand, arm, lower bone is not connected to that bone, and it's not connected to this bone. The muscle is the contractile body. It's connected by a tendon. A tendon is connective tissue. It's a fascia. It is a strong, super strong connection to the bone. It connects to the bone and doesn't just connect to the bone, it actually becomes the fibrous coating of the bone. That's a tendon. All of our muscles have ligaments, and ligaments connect, so tendons connect muscles to bones, ligaments connect bones to bones. And I can't just move this, I have to have like cross-hatched deep ligaments in here. I have ligaments here, the ACL, PCL, anterior cruciate. You've heard that, oh, he's got an ACL tear. That is the ligament that was the anterior cruciate cross, posterior cruciate, lateral, collateral, and medial collateral. That's 4 mega ligaments holding this incredible joint together. I mean, it's a tough joint. It's a long bone connected to a long bone with, so those are really strong. Ligaments have to connect you and support you. They have to have a little bit of elasticity. So they're a little more elastic. They have a little give, A tendon, if I want to connect a moving thing to another thing, I want to pull that chair, I want a rope that just pulls. I don't want to connect it to a rubber band. I don't want any elasticity in a tendon. Tendons have very little elasticity. That's why they can be pretty tough. Achilles tendon back here, a tear of that is a pretty big thing. It didn't have much elasticity. It was put under a huge stress at a particular time. So basically ligaments have a little elasticity, tendons don't. Both of them are white. So they need movement. They need movement all the time. Everything needs movement. I started the program, for those of you who weren't here, it's like, if you don't want to come to any more of these, learn one thing, move everything all the time. And what do right away? Sit down, Johnny, don't move, don't say anything, sit there, sit there, sit there. And the kid is just burning up for movement. And we take that with us. If we could jiggle and move all day long, arthritis would be significantly lower. Not the autoimmune stuff, I don't know about that, but the actual mechanical based arthritis would be lower if we had moved and moved and moved. Take an 8-hour flight, get up and walk.
I had a question before you move on to the nervous system, the fascia, you mentioned fascia as being the tendon, is it the same? Because a lot of body workers say they're breaking down fascia.
So
What does that mean?
So we have different sorts of tissues. One of them is connective tissue. Tissue has tendons, ligaments, the fascia. Fascia is it is a fibrous coating and connection of everything. If you took a look into those fibers of a muscle like that, and here's one fiber and here's one fiber, it would be in a fascial sheath. That would be in a fascial sheath. If you take a look and now here's a heart, it will have a fascia around it. So if I grab here and pull, I'm pulling everything. The fascia is absolutely covering, connecting in different forms, everything in the body. Fascia is not highly elastic. It can form contractures, which is kind of like scar tissue, a hardening and tightening. Muscle myofascia, fascia, myofascial, or fibromyalgia. Algia means pain. Fibro, fascia, myo, muscle, algia, pain. I have pain in my muscle fascial network. It can be pervasive. 75% of my entire professional career, moment by moment, was working on the myofascial network. I did a thing called trigger point therapy, which is a pressure point. Like if you've ever pushed on something, it's like, ouch, that hurts, ouch. It is a binding of the fascia. And so that can cause referred pain elsewhere, and it can also bind and lock things up. So the myofascial network is, I mean, it's like my universe. That's where I worked. And I would have people come in with, it's just the whole career. And so when they're doing fascial release, like for example, this, if you've ever got a massage and someone's pushing really hard out here, this hurts a lot more than they're pushing hard here. Here's the quadriceps muscles. They come up to here, they go the kneecap, and they attach right here. So those are quadricep muscles. This is the tensor fascia lata. Tense, tightening, fascia lateral. If you took all the skin out, you would see a very whitened sheath of tight muscles. The muscle that moves it is out here. So this fascia. Fascial release therapy is solid gold. We tend to glue up. If you don't move, you glue. We're gluing all the time. You want to break up the glue. Glue is good. Break up the glue. That fascia, as it locks in, it hardens. And so I think body work is really important. I think massage therapy is really good. If you don't do massage therapy, I think it's good if you mess with your own muscles sometimes. I have a little roller thing that I got from a seminar once. It's got little roller wheels. I'll take it and just rub gently the surface of these muscles. That is working to release some of the fascial adhesions. Nervous system. It is your, so the bioelectrician, all of a sudden, biological electrician, is your wiring system. It is your wiring system. Everything in the body, like when I showed that first picture, comes from something big and gets smaller, gets smaller, gets smaller, gets smaller, gets smaller. Big, huge blood-carrying vessels getting teeny. Big spinal cord getting into teeny nerves. Central nervous system is the brain and the spinal cord inside the column. Peripheral is everything out here. All coming from the brain. The brain is the control center. Your nervous system, peripheral and central. Central, again, is just coming down here. Peripheral is going out and doing everything else. It's allowing me to feel things out here. My brain tells the hand to move. My brain gets information from the eye that allows me to see. All the peripheral. Big split, autonomic and somatic. This is the soma, here's the psyche. Psyche, psychosomatic, or somatopsychic. If I'm in chronic pain for years, I become depressed, somatopsychic. If I am depressed, I don't move the body much, psychosomatic. So, let's go with central. To the somatic. Those are the sensory. I feel paper, I feel glass. And voluntary, pick up the paper. So that is the peripheral nervous system. All those wires that go out go to all those places. How'd you come there?
You touched.
Jump in the gun. Come on, man. And then there's things that happen. Autonomic nervous system is the one that we kind of mostly don't have control over, but we can. Sympathetic, parasympathetic, enteric. I'm going to drop this off right away. This is the gut. A whole nervous system in the gut. It's big, big, big. Sympathetic is traditionally fight or flight. Fight, flight, or freeze. So if I'm a gazelle running along and a lion grabs me here, I'm neither going to flight nor fight or flight. I'm going to freeze down. I'm going to shut my system down blessedly. Fight, flight, or freeze. A person maybe is in a state of shock and they just can't move. The car's on fire, but they still can't move. They're in freeze. They're not in fight or flight. Fight or flight. Parasympathetic, rest, relax, meditate, digest food. Those are your two choices. They're happening automatically. Right now, some car just smashed into the back of that. It's boom, and we would all hit the sympathetics in a millisecond. We would feel come through our body. Blood flow would change. The brain would focus all at the same time. If you're in a nice, comfortable spot and you're just chilling out, you're in the parasympathetics. You heal here. You don't heal here. You run like hell. If you live in the sympathetics, adrenal burnout, you've heard of that sort of stuff. If you're always stressed, if you're you're not in a great place of healing. Maybe that's part of that mechanism that over the years changes the function of It is part of the mechanism that years changes the function of what we do. How healthy do we stay? How hydrated do we stay? How much do we give our body nutrition? Parasympathetics are fantastic. They say, autonomic nervous system, you can't change it, but you can change it. You absolutely can change it. You don't change the part that's beating your heart or making you breathe or processing nutrition. But you can change the part of being. So if you feel yourself in a state of stress, if you see the red and blue lights behind you, and you take a deep breath and come down and bring it down, and it's not something you just turn off. A deep calming breath, the body position of opening and extension. I think everyone should have 5 or 10 minutes or more of every day with deep, slow, open breaths. You are learning and training yourself how to get to the parasympathetics by that. Psychosomatic, somatopsychic. I don't work so much psychosomatic. I'm a body first kind of guy. It's a big circle. I go from the body to try to change the mind. So then the example for the ones who hadn't heard what I used, if I he's sitting right here, if I were coming at him with a big knife, he is not, unless he's some master, right? He's not going to be like doing this. What's he going to do then? He's going to go sympathetic. I think, now let's put ourselves up watching the body. That body looks like it's doing this. Should I send a signal that we're in the sympathetics? Doesn't look like he's in the sympathetics. I think you can change the body and change the mind. So when you open up, allow, breathe, the breath is gold. Breathe. I believe you are pushing yourself to the parasympathetics. I think it's something that would be good to do. Chill out, take a couple breaths before you have dinner. This is where you digest. They don't get any blood. The digestive doesn't get any blood in the sympathetics. You're just running. Really, I didn't spend a lot of time on the brain. I'm not this time either. The brain's made of all these twisty pathways so that we can get a lot of stuff packed in a small gooey thing. Different lobes. Basically, each lobe and the locations go to different places and do different things. This is the cerebellum. This is the cortex. Here's two halves, right brain, left brain. This is interesting, how it communicates back and forth. When a person, I think it's with epilepsy in a terrible way out there place, they'll sever the connection between these two. And then I've seen that the person's there in this experiment, drawing a square with the right hand, have no idea what the left hand's doing once you've split them. Right brain and left brain, the general concepts are pretty well accepted, pretty well. But it's not just the right brain and the left, they both do a lot. Excuse me. I think a person who leans more to the right brain is maybe more connected, and a person who leans more to the left brain is more linear. But again, where signals are coming from to tell the body are all. There's no such thing as you only use 20% of your brain. Here we're going to take a piece of that brain, cut off this strip, just as a quick one. Each place in the brain is connected to each place in the body. So then if I had a pinprick and touched my finger here, I'm going to feel it because that place here says I'm in pain. So brain science is beyond this class. This is one of the many pictures. It's called the homunculus, which is kind of cool. The homunculus is drawn disproportionately because the homunculus says, see, this is somatosensory, sensor, feeling. This is motor. My tongue, lips are bigger here, which means they get more connection than, say, the middle of my back or my feet. It makes more sense. We have fine control. We're giving a lot more to this part of us here than, I don't know, than the foot, more sensory. So that's how we're wired. And then motor is the same thing. So there's certain places that pick up senses and certain that pick up motor. Certain fibers or wires that are sending signals, motor signals that say do this, do that, and certain that are sending sensory signals back that says I feel that, I hear that, I move that, I know where I'm standing right now, I feel the pressure on my feet, I know I'm on 2 feet with my eyes closed, because the sensory indicators are sending it up. So just that's kind of how we're wired in a pretty complex level. We have nerves coming out each spinal level, going places, and then we have 12 nerves up here called cranial nerves. The hearing, vision, what do we got? Vagus is going to the heart. So that's coming right from the brain, not down the canal. Again, same old thing, coming from a single place, down and out, to all these places. And here is an important, okay, so back to that first picture of a nerve cell, the nucleus, and then this axon, and now we're coming to synaptic terminals. These wirings are going out, connecting to other neurons. This might be where I have one of my favorite pictures next. Nervous system. Now let's say different, they've used this word and it's kind of confusing. Not elasticity like rubber band, but neuroelasticity means that muscle elasticity and muscle use, I'm going to build it, make it more. Neuroelasticity means I can build more connections, more dendritic connections. If I never use my brain, I don't need that many connections, so I'm not going to build any more connections. If you ask of your body, for the bones, you will build more bone density. If you ask of the body more muscles, you'll build more muscles. If you ask more of your brain, you will build more neurological connections. Back to these guys, those nerve roots coming out have to go through those holes. Keep your discs flexible.
And the phrase brain dead,
Brain stops functioning.
is it one part of the brain? that
No, I
goes-
think brain dead is brain dead. When you're brain dead and you're going to be a donor, they keep you alive until they come and harvest that liver or the kidney. The heart has a mini nervous system. So the heart is getting signals through the vagus nerve to what to do, but its pumping is its own mini nervous system. So the brain's no longer here, and the heart is still punching, which means this body is still getting blood flow.
How did the brain get no longer here?
Wumped in the head, shot in the head, I don't know.
Oh.
A disease, a huge tumor, explosive stroke. Looking straight down, here's that canal. This is the bone that allows the canal, the spinal cord to go through. And here's these places coming out where the nerve roots are coming out. Here's the spinal cord, which is a bundle of wires that just lost 2 wires here, lost 2 more wires, lost 2 more wires, lost 2 more wires, lost 2 more, get down to about the first lumbar. It's no longer a spinal cord, it's just the last few wires floating in there. This is what a herniation is. It's squeezing into the nerve roots that's coming out the lateral foramen. Very typical. Very typical. This person could be way happy on surgery, and I'll explain this in the next 2 steps. So we're going to think about that person. Here, central canal stenosis or central canal impingement. The white color is the cerebrospinal fluid. It's the nutrition liquid that covers all of the central nervous system. The black is the cord. This disc went right out in there. Now I'm going to come back to that. So you can impinge at those places. You can impinge, which means squeeze or block, in the lateral foramen, in the central canal, or right down below the butt on the piriformis muscle. So this is the sciatic nerve, which is probably that thick, going down through these muscles, and then I'm having problems and pain because the sciatic nerve is being irritated, and it's all because this muscle squeezing on it. So that's what muscle work works wonderfully. I'm gonna come back to that guy. This is really important. This is a dermatome, dermaskin, tome is the area. The wires coming down to this person, coming out the second lumbar vertebral level, innervate, right, innervate means they connect about here. L5, down here out the fifth lumbar. So then if I suddenly wake up and I've got some pain, I've got numbing and tingling. Doc, I have numbing and tingling. Take with you to the doctor. This is, I never had it, I've had it for 2 weeks, this is what I've done, this is what I changed. I feel it right here. Take all those notes. Then the doctor's gonna go, it looks like there's influence, L3, no. Do you feel it here? No. They got a little pinwheel, do you feel it here? No. Ah, right there. So I see that the place where the wiring's going innervates L5, so it makes me think, what's going on in L5? I go back up. This is higher up the neck, same principle, the dermatomes ever, when I say, aha! This is C5. Now, here's the dermatome. They have tingling, numbing, weakness, the C5 distribution. I see an impingement at C5. I look in here and see that this is just a little piece of the disc squeezed out. Let's get in there and buzz it off. Bzzz, you get off the table, you're the happiest person in the world. I'm not happy taking an entire chronic back pain to the back surgeon. This kind of stuff, if that ever happens, it's pretty darn simple. They only need to come in here, bzzz, buzz that off. This person's impinged that specific nerve root. This poor person has impinged into the spinal cord. All those nerves coming down, now this can be way more complex. Right up here, we have got the package of wires that will be C7, T1, 2, 3, 4, 5, L1, 2, 3, 4, 5. When I'm pushing into that, I can't tell you exactly which one of those might be being impinged. So, way happier here in an unhappy state. Way unhappy in here, a little more serious. I put this in here. Pressure squeezes the discs and age squeezes your disc, which erodes some of the space that you need. If I stand right here and you measure to put a pressure gauge in my disc down here on the lumbar and called it whatever, 100 PSI, whatever it is, 150 PSI, 140 PSI. Sitting is not as nice as standing. Oh, this is pretty nice, but can't do that all day long. Sitting is not as nice as standing. Standing and movement is really great. Leaning in a chair, more. Leaning in a chair, sitting in a chair, leaning forward and picking something up is a huge compression onto the low lumbar discs. Oops. Keep moving. Aha. I got it. I did good on timing. We talk into the term of trillions of neurons, trillions of blood cells, 2 million red blood cells in a second. I mean, the numbers are too big to even comprehend. A single nerve cell, the dendritic connections. It's not like they show, here's the nerve, here's the synapse. I'm a serotonin molecule. Boop, I'm to a new one. Here's the synapse. Boop. No. That. Use your brain, build your brain, task your brain. Right here is one neuron, one cell, the dendritic connections to the next neuron in this piece of flesh, brain, which is 1 cubic millimeter. This is for the new people. A cubic millimeter of brain tissue has 150 million connections. That is how complex you are. And you wonder why we have brain. I mean, that's how complex you are. It's incomprehensible. Build more dendrites, neuroplasticity, take up mathematics, take up music, take up watercolor painting, take up accounting. Task your brain in places you've never tasked it. Build those. You got plenty of what you've been doing your whole life. Oh, are you kidding? Are you kidding? You're not gonna kick us out. You're staying with me for another minute. Man. When I said to do this, it was impossible, but I think it worked. I think it was fun. From the heart, blood pumps out, goes to every single cell of the body. Every single cell of the body. It has to carry oxygen. We have two circulation systems. Pulmonary, pulmonary's lungs, systemic. So what happens, the right atrium, you've heard atrium and ventricle, left, blood that has been used up by the body, that has come back to the heart, goes into the right atrium, squeezed into the right ventricle, into the pulmonary circuit where the teeny little capillaries carrying carbon dioxide blood come to the little teeny airways that is carrying oxygen. They do a switch. That's where you pick your oxygen up, comes back to the left atrium, squeezed into the left ventricle, one squeeze and out to the whole body. That keeps squeezing and pumping. The first squeeze is your systolic pressure, the top number of your blood pressure. When the ventricle relaxes, that's the lower number. That's what that number is. These have to take it down to capillaries that are so teeny that it's incomprehensible. When they get there, the capillary carrying blood and oxygen is here. It leaks out into the tissues, the oxygen and nutrition, sucks back up into the veins, coming from the arteries to the veins and back up to the heart. That's how you give nutrition everywhere. In the lungs, the red blood cells are walking one behind each other. It's that small. There's one cell of wall between the blood and the oxygen. It's that thin. We're that fragile. Now let's add the lymphatic system, which is going to be a biggie. This is your waste product disposal system. The heart and blood system is a big circle and it has a pump. The lymphatic system is dead end from your legs, dead end from your hands. It brings the waste products from the tissues that the blood switched with back and comes back to under the clavicle and gets back into your blood system. This may be one of the most important things of the whole program right here. If you don't move right now, you're pumping blood and oxygen and nutrition. If you're not moving, you are not pumping lymph. Lymph is waste products. You're not pumping it. It has no pump. It has no pump. It has one-way valves. Movement squeezes the muscles, squeezes the lymph, keeps squeezing them. Everything comes right up to here, dumps back into the blood system, it's filtered by the kidneys, and it does it all over again. If you're not moving, you are not dumping lymph, you are not dumping the waste products.
Does lymphatic massage?
It's fantastic.
Don't.
It'll always be toward the heart. Without it, lymphedema, big old swollen down here, that person's not pumping the feet, sitting on an 8-hour flight, not pumping the feet, not getting up and moving. You're not dumping waste products. The blood vessels that are the veins under really low pressure have one-way valves. If you're not squeezing your muscles, you are not helping your blood. Aorta, huge artery out of the heart. A little smaller, till it's so teeny, and at that time it becomes blood veins, small, bigger to go back to the heart. That's always the process. No pressure. We start right here with that pump, that ventricular pump, at the aorta. There's your systolic pressure. We go around and around and around. When we get back to the vena cava, which is a huge, not oxygenated blood vein to the heart, at about this much pressure. Pressure does not, you don't have pressure at the end. If you're not pumping and moving your body, you're not helping your blood, you're not pumping your lymph. I mean, a lot of pictures for that, but that's pretty much it. There we are. Move it all the time. Use it. Ask of your body. Task it. Get some weight. Get some weight. Women especially, get some weight, Bill. Do not lose your bone density. When you're of a smaller frame, weight will call the osteoblast to create more bone density. You're always having to push back. We're always losing bone density over the years. You don't be a weightlifter, you know, but having some weight-bearing exercises and keep moving. When you're pumping that, say, I am pumping waste products, I'm pumping in oxygen, I'm helping the whole system. And then pick up something new. That's over officially. Any questions, I'm prepared to ask.
Speaking of the brain, I've also heard one exercise is to, if you drive the same way to the store, go a different way, take different routes.
Nerves that, neurons that fire together, that's a nerve signal, wire together. That's why professional athletes are so flawless, so flawless. Race car drivers, so flawless. They program that exact path, exact path, exact path. Words that don't fire together, they don't wire together. So your other way to work is new. Where the heck? It's new. Do it the next day. It's not as new. Do it the next day. It's not as new. Do it for 2 weeks. Yeah, I got this down. You just grew more dendrite connections and increased your brain. Go the same way and do the same thing all the time. You're static.
Huh.
I guess that's it. That was a heck of 5 sessions.